that we see this at Cisco, there's really, when you think about cloud security, you can kind of dissect that a few different ways. You can think about enabling your security services up in the cloud, whether that's DLP, whether that's policy, taking your on-premise, putting it up in the cloud. You can then flip that cloud security around and start thinking about securing cloud access. How do I look to control data that's already out in the cloud? It might not even be in my cloud, it can be out anywhere around the world. And then thirdly, looking at building my own cloud, how can I make sure that I can secure all of that cloud infrastructure? Cisco has solutions for all three of these, and I'm going to very briefly go through each one of them. They didn't give me much time, I only had 15 minutes, so it's going to be quick fire. Starting off with the security services. So email security. Cisco, quite a few years ago, acquired Ironport from the email security side of things, also web security product line. The cloud security, cloud email security services is based fundamentally on that technology. That exact same technology that, for those of you that were here for the last session, you saw Amanda talk about 35% of the world's email that comes through all our solutions. We've taken that tried and tested, I haven't been drinking yet, market-leading solution, put that up in the cloud, enable customers. You want to put it on-premise? That's fine, you can put it on-premise. You want to put that up in the cloud? Absolutely, you can put that up in the cloud. You want to do both? Maybe you want to stop your DLP, stop my data from leaving on-premise, but I want my malware coming in to be blocked in the cloud before it gets on my network? Well, you can tie those two together with a single management, single reporting, single everything. So basically giving choice of deployment. You can take what you already know and push that up into the cloud. Flipping that over to web security. So just over a year ago, Cisco made an acquisition of a company called ScanSafe, which is cloud web security. That solution is very, very complementary to what you might have already known about Cisco Ironport web security appliances. So everything I just went through for email security, about choice, about deploying, about doing both and blocking your data on-premise, your malware up in the cloud. Maybe in the aspect of web security, you're thinking about roaming users and what if they're off-network, out around the world. How do I protect those? We now have this solution, this single solution, that covers both of those aspects. And what we're doing is bringing these together. So I thought that was going to start. There we go, the arrows have started. What we're doing is bringing this together from an email, from a web perspective, to pull it together into these hybrid offerings. But the key thing is, when you start to think about hybrid, your on-premise, your cloud, and the rest of the stuff we have here at Cisco, we have a lot of insertion points. And so what we're looking at doing is having a unified network insertion points around the portfolio, whether that's firewalls, whether that's IPS, everywhere we can add these cloud services in. Looking at unified mobility cloud. So when you are out and about, whether you're on your laptop, your iPhone, your iPad, whatever it might be, you still get the same level of protection, policy, security, reporting, visibility into whatever's going on, whether it's on your network or off your network. And then finally looking at tying together all the management to that, so you have that single pane of glass. How can we make this simple? So as we go through, I would urge you to go and see our AnyConnect Secure Mobility demo at the back here. Looking at the client, here we have it for our iPad, same for iPhone, same for Windows, same for Mac. It's a wide platform. What you can do with that solution, as well as having what you might know for AnyConnect or Cisco VPN and have all those VPN, IPsec, or SSL capabilities, we've tied that back into our security, tied that back into web security. So now, when you've got your client, you can come back into the network, you can be secure. You can be protected by your WSA. Or if you're out in the road, we can actually enable that secure split tunnel. So even though you're not on the VPN coming back into your network, all of your web traffic is going back out through the ScanSafe data centers. So whether you're on network connected to VPN, off network going straight to the cloud, you can have the same policy, you have the same level of visibility, you don't need to lose control. And again, looking at this from the cloud perspective, realistically, wherever you are in the world, we have a data center that's close at hand. So we can enable that security. Again, it's off-network security, it's a wide variety of device and platform support, but it really doesn't matter how you're accessing the internet, whether it's Wi-Fi, whether it's 3G, 4G, dial-up, if you still have it, God bless you, but you can still have the same level of policy, same level of security. And then again, just to come back to tying that back in with our security appliances, security management, centralized reporting, it doesn't matter what solution you choose or how you choose to deploy it, that's your choice. You get entirely the same level of capabilities, features, and functionality. securing cloud access. That's that first one. Taking our security, putting it up in the cloud. Flipping it around to securing cloud access. We went through a pretty interesting exercise internally to Cisco it was about 6 or 7 months ago now. We asked our IT department how many cloud services Cisco used. And they came back and said, well, we don't really know, we haven't looked into it, but it's probably in the region of 10 to 12. When they went and actually did the work, they found out it was well over 100. Because you, I, completely separate from IT, can go and sign up for whatever you want. I've now got my Google Apps, I've got my whatever I want to do, I'm going to use it. So as we kind of went through this, we kind of monitored how Cisco went. And we started off with a few, added in a few more, but in the last couple of years, it's really, really exploded. So then the question comes, when you're thinking about cloud security, if I've got all of these, how on earth do I control who goes to them, what data is in them, what happens if an employee leaves the company and they still have access to all of this storage, maybe Salesforce.com, I don't want that disgruntled employee coming in, taking all my customer information and running off with it. So looking at this from how do you secure that? The Cisco IronPort WSA, our web security appliance, can actually act as a single sign-on gateway to a wide range of cloud-based applications. So we've got a few here just to kind of show you the scope of it. What that means is that kind of the benefit of putting all this stuff up in the cloud is that your sales guys or anyone out on the road, I need access to it, it's fine, I can go and I can do that. But you lose that control. By putting this in, what you can actually do is prevent that direct access from the road. So if your sales guy goes out and tries to get to Salesforce, it's going to ask you for your username and password. If you actually come back in through the WSA, what the WSA is going to do is interact directly with Salesforce.com, log you in, there you are, here's my homepage, here's all your contacts, here's everything you need to do. That employee then leaves the company. You can take them out of Active Directory. They lose access to all of those cloud services as well. So instead of having to terminate 20, 30 different services for an employee, you can just pull the plug once and everything goes away. And so looking at our cloud infrastructure around the globe, just before I come to that the last one, right now we have 22 data centers. They're all squished to the bottom of this slide. So we're basically all over the US, all over Europe, APAC, and we're growing. So we have 22 data centers, but when we build a data center, Cisco's a pretty big company, so when we go out and build these things, we don't just build a small data center. We do it at scale. We know how much we're going to use, and so we build for that, and then some. So what we have inside of these data centers is over 120 what we call scanning towers. So what these scanning towers do, and this is from a web security perspective, is going to analyze every single piece of web content coming in. We have effectively infinite CPU at our disposal at any given time around the globe, and we use that to analyze web traffic. Every single piece, the HTML, the scripts, the images, every single piece of every single web page is going to get scanned at that local data center. We can then apply policy based on company, based down to the user. So you can define your user level policy. It's going to get enforced whether they go to San Francisco or Sydney data center, you get exactly the same level of policy. And then the authentication, which is going to tie directly back into Active Directory, LDAP, whatever exists on premise, to ease that push out. So we have 120 of these around the world, all acting in parallel. Within each one of them, scanning all of this traffic in parallel as well. Because when you get to web security, the latency can be the key. And then tying in with that, because kind of the thing that you get with your on-premise solution is I've got my reporting database. I know it's here, I manage it, there it is. If you take that up into the cloud, well, there's a few questions that come up. First of all is how much data you're going to store and how long is it going to take me to run these reports, because it takes me hours and the box is sat right there. So we've built out around the globe effectively a data warehouse. We've built it out as if we were a multi-million user company. It's the same shared infrastructure, everything is logically separated. It's all basically solid state storage, hardware I/O, we pull all data in, everything goes out. We can run these reports in seconds from anywhere around the world, but the key thing is about being a cloud service, we see everything. We see your users in San Francisco, we see them in London, we see them in Hong Kong, and give you that instant view. so you don't have to wait for that report proliferation, for everything to consolidate together before you can run a report. And in fact, we have SLAs in place around how long from a certain piece of web activity to it being available to report. And that SLA is 5 minutes. From any event for any of your users, you will be able to report on it in under 5 minutes. And then we tie that in with the customer portal, because you don't lose any control. With our email, with our web, you still have exactly the same level of policy, exactly the same levers to pull as if the box was sitting next to you. And this is really, it's a push-pull kind of model here. What we don't have is a core that's intelligent and everything needs to come into it. We have certain services that are shared, so our reporting for our core towers. We have APIs tied in for that reporting, so you want to need to pull out those reports to other pieces that maybe exist within your infrastructure. Absolutely, you can do that too. And the back end of all of this, for email, for web, really for all of our solutions, is from Cisco SIO. So this is really the conglomeration of everything we see as Cisco. We have billions of web requests every day, 35% of the world's email market. We have going on 1 million firewall and IPS devices out there deployed in customer networks, seeing real-world traffic, and all of that data feeds back. So if we see a web threat, we can push out IPS rules. We see IPS threats, we can push out email signature or reputation changes. So this is really, I might be biased, but kind of one of the biggest threat correlation networks on the planet. And it's not just email, it's not just web, it's not just firewall, it's everything together pulled in. And we've got the brain power behind it for some people that are way smarter than me that actually know what all the stuff is. So, as we look at this, this infrastructure looks at about 7 billion web requests every day. What we do with our web security is actually use that amount of data to further hone our security. So everything we build is based on artificial intelligence. There's no signature updates, specifically on the web security side of things. So for all this data we see, that means that our analysis engines get more and more accurate for the more data we see. Fortunately for us, we're by far and away the market leader, which means we see more data than everyone else, which is awesome for us, because that means we can be more accurate. Hopefully then sell more, to get more customers, to see more data, to get more accurate, and you get the idea. Every day, about 100 million of those requests are blocked. So we are looking at every single request, every single piece of web content on every single web page, and from the email side of things, looking at the reputation, the content, the DLP, everything else that goes along with that.